There has been one spot in our kitchen that I have just completely neglected, and it has been our Tupperware drawer. It is a place that has just been super messy. We literally just throw the containers in there. There's a lot of lids, I'm pretty sure, that do not have matching bottoms. So we're gonna go through that today and finally tackle that job that I've just been putting off for so long. All right, so first we're gonna go through and we're gonna take everything out, gonna put it on the counter and just sort things so we see exactly what is in there and figure out what we're currently using that we're gonna be keeping and figure out what items we can be getting rid of because there aren't matches to it or that we're just no longer using. This is so ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lids that do not have a bottom. And I have a couple of smaller ones. I know that around the house there are a couple of these bottoms that were used just to hold something. As to why they don't have a lid, I'm not sure. This is just taking up space that is just creating clutter in my drawer. I'm gonna probably do a quick kind of loop around my house to see if I can find a bottom. I know that I have one of these bins is in my laundry bin, but aside from that, I would have no problem recycling these because if you don't have a bottom container and you have a spare lid, then I just see this as extra clutter. It's making more mess in my drawer. This would make my life so much easier by getting rid of it. So that's something that I will say goodbye to. Couple other things. From the other year when movie theaters were open, my husband took our daughter to a Star Wars movie and they ended up getting a drink that had Star Wars little toppers. And nobody has used this since, so this is gonna be going in the garbage. Sorry if people are big Star Wars fans and this is not being used, so goodbye. And then some other things. You know, I don't know about you guys, but if you got kids, there are so many of these little measuring cups that come with like Tylenol, liquid Tylenol and such. So I just make sure I keep 1 or 2 of these, but every time extras come, just recycle them. You do not need to have crazy amounts of these. A lot of that stuff is no longer going back into that drawer, so it won't be as cluttered, which is awesome. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to shop our house and we're gonna see what I can find that we can use to store the items that are gonna be going back into the drawer. I will always recommend that you shop your home first before going out and purchasing containers to organize things with. You would be really surprised with what you can find. So I already have an idea. In our basement storage, I have a couple of organization bins that are from IKEA that I think we're gonna use. And we'll take a look and see how that goes. In my basement, I have a bunch more of these IKEA, I think they're Scrub is the name of them. So I'm gonna see if I can do a configuration where things can stay together and then things won't be moving around. I think I've got a bit of configuration that is gonna work for now, and it's something that you just gotta try, see how it goes, work with it for a little bit, and if you need to make adjustments after a while, then you do that. But you need to try something and see how that works. So I'll show you what I've done. Everything has a place. Everything fits in, so kind of have like with like. So I've got our thermoses for the kids, some smaller containers here. I've got our little baby containers, water bottles. We do not use these regularly, so I'll just keep those there. Chris and I do use these, so these will be usually out of here and probably in the car or around the house. At least there's a home. And then the other thing that was helpful just so things don't slide around. I ended up putting the banana jars in here, and it's placed that I can still keep them, but it also stops things from shuffling around, which I find is really helpful. I feel much better about this than the state that I was in before, when I would open the drawer and I would throw things in because it was a disaster and I didn't care. And so that's kind of what happens when you stop, taking care of areas. It just becomes a mess and you leave it messy until you take the time to actually take a few minutes and remove what no longer should be there, and come up with some sort of system that you can try. We don't have a ton of plastic containers. I used to have a lot of the same Rubbermaid ones, and that was great. And you will have seen all those red lids. Where the bottoms went, I have no idea. But we now use a lot of glass anchor jars that we use, or containers, for a lot of our leftovers. So usually that's what is in our fridge that we're using on a daily basis. We will also use a lot of mason jars, which are great for storing soups and if you're making sauces, dressings, that kind of thing. Even in our cupboard, and we just store our containers nestled into one another. It is also a great idea to store them kind of stacked on each other if that's something that you would prefer. It really depends on your preference. It's nice to be able to see things, and if they are stacked on top of each other, you put the lids on so you make sure that there's a lid for everything. I just have them nestled into one another with the lids in a little bin off the side because I can store all 6 of the containers that I have. Otherwise, in my area, they wouldn't all fit. I feel pretty good with how it turned out. There's a spot for everything. All the excess stuff that we no longer use has been removed, and that feels really great. Just looking at it, I like to be able to open up a drawer and see exactly what I have. The fact that there's a place for everything, nothing is overflowing, it makes you feel calm. So this did not take very long. It is so worth it in the end. It's usually just, being overwhelmed and just procrastinating from doing those things you're supposed to do. And when you put off doing a task for so long, it builds up and you make it seem that it's going to take a lot longer or going to be a bigger deal than it needs to be. So I'm glad that I finally tackled this. Now I feel really good with that drawer. I would definitely encourage you to take some time when you have a moment and just go through things. Remove what does not need to be in there. Remove what you no longer use. Just by doing that, that'll make a huge difference. And go shop your home. Find some containers, some bins that you can use. If you don't have anything, you can easily go to the dollar store and get some containers that would work as well. Because it's as soon as that task is done, it does feel really great to just check that off that list that you've kind of been thinking about in your head, and be able to move on to the next thing. Well, I hope you have a wonderful week. If you like this video, please click that like button. And if you would like to see more videos like this, then please subscribe, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care.